I guess this is live. I don't know. Ooh. Well, it's counting down. Okay. Hey, this is the first time I've done live, so what I'm doing here is sausage gravy. Mia is already right behind me. Hey, girl. Y'all can't see her. She's right here. Are you coloring? Okay. Well, that's the reality of it. I'm not expecting anybody to be on here at the same time. But I was trying this out to see how well it works doing live. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Because it does just like upload straight to it and save it. But I'm doing breakfast for dinner. So I was going to show how to make sausage gravy because it is something that people are kind of intimidated by. But let's go ahead and get started so I can move it along as quickly as possible. I don't want this to be like a 30-minute thing. I'm going to use the 16-ounce sausage. It's pork sausage. If you are cooking for more than two to three adults, I would say to use two of these. I think they sell them double size. I'm just going to go ahead. Everything is backwards right now for me because I put the camera to where you guys can see here. Normally I have all of my ingredients right here, but I wanted to show what I'm doing in the skillet. That's kind of like a bird's eye view. I'm not really brand loyal on the sausage. I just got this at Aldi because it was really inexpensive. Normally I would not do the mild, I would get the spicy. So I'm going to add red pepper to it as it cooks to make it spicy. Hey girlie! Now you guys can see her. Are you watching Moana? What's she doing? So that'll happen because this is real life. But I have been really wanting breakfast food. I was talking to my best friend the other day. We were getting lunch somewhere that sells breakfast, but we were getting lunch. And I was asking her, because she stays home with her kids also, I was like, what do you guys do for breakfast? And it was a similar response as to what Mia and I have. Like, Mia and I all week have had English muffins with like, she's had peanut butter on hers. I've had jelly. But it's like, it's never a thing where I'm like, okay, we're going to get up, get ready, and go get breakfast. It's like when I'm at the grocery store, I'm like, okay, I got to get something for us this week for breakfast. So it's not like, I know when I was working, anybody that doesn't know me, I left my job in December and I've been staying home with Mia since then. Before that, I was like an 8 to 5 job, and I would go like on Fridays as like a treat of it being Friday and pick up breakfast like Panera or Chick-fil-A or something like that. And that's just not something I think to do anymore. On Saturdays, if Chris is still home, I will, if he's like still in bed and Mia's still in bed, I'll be like, listen out for her. I'm going to get Dunkin' Donuts. But it's just not doable during the week to get up, get ready, and go get breakfast. But I love going places where, like a diner, where you get like 10 things, like eggs and grits and biscuits and gravy and hash browns, and it's dishes that you don't have to clean up, and it's so nice, but it's not something that's like ideal as a stay-at-home mom to go do. So we're doing it for dinner tonight. And I'm not doing like a whole ton of stuff. I'm just doing some roasted potatoes here and biscuits and gravy and some eggs. I'm not going to show like the whole meal start to finish. I'm going to stop once I'm done with the gravy because you guys know how to make eggs, hopefully. I'm sure there's a video on YouTube showing you how. But I know with the whole like song and dance of cooking can be confusing of making sure everything all at once is hot and fresh and done, or the things that are supposed to be cold are fresh and crisp, and it's not like where something has been sitting out or anything like that. You want it all as fresh as possible. So I started off while I was cutting up those potatoes. I was preheating my oven for the biscuits, which, oh gosh, the biscuits only have 3 minutes left before I check them. I put them in a few minutes shy. What? Okay. Did you color? So the biscuits are cooking while I'm doing this. Those are not an important thing where, like, we're putting the hot gravy on those. So if they've been sitting out a few minutes and have gotten like room temperature, not like cold, I don't think they're gonna get cold, but it's okay. But you don't want like cold eggs, you don't want cold gravy. You want to like time everything out just right. So I'm saving the eggs for last. That's why I'm not really going to have a video of it, because this is more about the gravy. But I'm just browning up the sausage. I think you all can see this. It's not giving me very much fat, and I'm really annoyed by this because I have a whole lot of milk over there to make in gravy form. But that all depends on how much fat I get off of this pork. It's kind of disappointing right now. But I used to make this all the time when we first got married. It was like my go-to Saturday morning breakfast, and it's not exactly something that's good for you. But I did it so much. When I first tried it when we were living in our apartment, I would go off of the Joy of Cooking recipe, like followed it exactly the first like 5 times I made it. And then finally I was like, I have this memorized. And it's kind of like once you get used to making like gravies and sauces, you kind of like understand what's going on and can kind of improvise and like do it. Like the other night, I made a pork tenderloin in the cast iron skillet. I baked it in the oven and took it out and set the pork to the side to rest, and took the cast iron skillet and all the like fat that had come off of the tenderloin and made a like gravy type sauce out of that like really quickly. That was when I was like, okay, I should have been like filming this, because it's so easy. And I feel like some people think that that's something that you can only get at a restaurant, when it's like a few ingredients. Like it doesn't have to be a big hoopla over having a good sauce on top of your, because we had mashed potatoes that night too. That was the other half of the bag of potatoes. If anybody's like, that's not a lot of potatoes, I used half the bag on our mashed potatoes, because it's just the two of, well, and Mia, but she'll probably just like eat crayons or something tonight. Just kidding. I will give her this to try. I don't know if she'll like it. She is very picky. My biscuits are about to beat. I've learned the hard way with biscuits that you want to like check them prior to them, what the instructions say, because I've had them burn before when I've cooked them on the temperature that they suggest for the amount of time that they suggest. I've had them burn on the bottom. Oh, well, see, this was a few minutes shy and they're like almost there. I hate it when the bottom of them burn. My oven mitt has a hole in it. Or not a hole, a break in the, do you see that? It's like your underwear split. It hurts if it hits the pan, clearly. But anyway, okay. I'm starting to see a little more fat on here. Oh, I almost forgot the red pepper. I've mentioned before that we like spicy food. I may not put all of this, but I guarantee that Chris will still add Tabasco sauce. I'm actually really glad that I can see if there's viewers, and I'm really glad that there's not any. What if it's not even filming? It says I'm 9 minutes in to live, but there's like a thing telling me that something is locked, and I'm going to be really mad if I'm like not live and have made this whole thing. But I guess this is how I learn. I almost got on Instagram and said, I'm about to go live, but I figured it's after 5:30. I'm like, people are eating their own dinner right now, which I actually usually will start our dinner closer to 4:30. Mia and I had a late lunch today. Usually we eat at like 11. So I start our dinner pretty early, and Chris sometimes will get off in between jobs and we'll stop by the house and eat really quick. so that it helps if it's already done by like 5, even though we're all hungry again by like 8. It's still just easier that way. So if I'm doing this, she's calling me. If I'm doing this, it'll be closer to 4:30 Alabama time. I'm really annoyed with how little fat this is giving me. It's probably just like a crappy brand because it was from Aldi. Ooh. Okay, I might put a little bit more red pepper in. I did not know how quickly this would cook up, so I was like, I'm gonna start this once I put the biscuits in the oven and once I am ready for the ground pork. The potatoes have been over here a few minutes longer. I have them on a low heat. Our oven is like really sensitive with like the low. It's still like a pretty strong simmer. It's kind of frustrating. I have to get, this one's on like semi-low. I've had to get used to it and I still am not quite there yet. I'm so annoyed with how much fat is not in this. Sometimes you can get them and it's like a surplus of it, and this one is not producing much. I have added butter to it before, honestly, to give a little bit more. I may do that here once I take it off, once I take the meat off. All I've done with the potatoes is salt and pepper them. These are gold potatoes. I love, like, there's certain brunch places here, like at the diner one I was referring to earlier, gives you like the roasted potatoes instead of like the hash brown style. And it's so good if you get like biscuits and gravy and like over easy eggs. Like that's how I'm gonna do our eggs, is over easy. With the egg yolk and the gravy on the potatoes is like, oh my gosh, it's so good. Now I'm getting hungry. I wasn't that hungry a minute ago. I do know, I set this oven mitt aside behind me on the island because I'm clearly going to need another eye open and I don't want to use one of the back ones for my eggs. So the cast iron will stay hot. So I'm going to move that over to the oven mitt, and once I had to make room, this is like you have to plan like 2 steps ahead with cooking if you have like a bunch of stuff going on. I actually should look at the biscuits again. I made room on my island for the biscuits as well. When I used to do this when we were in the apartment, these look good. They'll keep like baking a little bit on the sheet here. But those are fine. Like I said, those don't have to be right out of the oven. Those are something that, since you're putting the hot gravy on it, it's fine. And you can still, if you want to leave the oven on, you can still pop them back in for like a minute to warm them back up. These are looking almost fair. I may turn the heat off and just leave it on the eye. You could also bake the potatoes or do like hash brown, like one of the shredded hash browns. But I had these, so I was like, I'll go ahead and make them before they go bad. I meant to cut up some onion and put it in here and completely forgot. This is a very like starchy meal that we're having. Okay, there maybe get some more fat. Okay. I actually have not made this meal in a while, but I did it so much our first year that we were married that I feel like I could do it in my sleep. And this is a good thing if you're like having a big like brunch or something, to make it, and you can put it like in a crock pot and it'll stay hot, and just keep like adding some milk. I want to like make sure this is really done. She has not napped today, so I'm kind of scared. Yesterday she took like a 2-hour nap at 4 p.m. That was why I was able to film those 3 videos that I did. And then she was up until after 11 o'clock, so learned my lesson on that. I'm still trying to make, yeah, nobody's on. I'm glad. I would be like really nervous if somebody was actually watching this. That's another reason why like I'm scared of the Instagram live, because you can see like who all's on there and it's intimidating. I feel like nothing I do deems worthy of being on Instagram live. Like it's not interesting enough. I don't know. I've almost like filmed Mia during her snack time. Okay, I have this strainer on hand that I'm just going to do over my thing and shake it as I go over my pan. This is like the very intense time is when you do the fat and the flour. So this is the last bit of calm. This is the calm before the storm right now, because I can see my fat in the pan and it's like laughing at me like, you can't screw this up. Because you cannot, when you're making like a sauce or a gravy, you cannot go backwards. Like once you've added the flour, you can't add more fat technically. Like you got to work with what you've just done. And so you want to start with a little bit of everything and then just keep adding where you can a little bit at a time, and not like I'm not going to dump a whole bunch of flour on that and just hope that it's not too much. I'm so glad that Mia is not like in here screaming at me for a snack. I was a little worried since she hasn't napped today. It's okay too if there's a little bit of meat still on there. I feel like this is easier than dumping the whole thing and then hoping that you get all the fat out. And I'm gonna put it over like a bowl. Okay, still shaking. There will be some come through into the bowl, but that's okay. I'll try next week to do like chicken marsala or something and show, because I have some good cheat ways to do like a good sauce, like what you would get at like a restaurant. Because I'm not talking about like Applebee's, like there's certain restaurants that make some like really good sauces with stuff, and it's just such a treat to go there and do that. Here she is. She comes at the most vital time. This is hot, baby. Okay. No. Sometimes what I like to do is just hand her. Look, what is this? What is that? Doop, doop, doop. What is that? Bye-bye. Okay. Now I have my whisk on hand, and like I said, I wonder how long I've been doing this. Almost 20 minutes. That's great. That was a lot longer than I meant to be. Okay. I keep a spoon in my flour because this is so, like, honestly, I wouldn't be frustrated with myself if I had to turn around and grab a spoon out of the bowl because, okay. Anyway. Okay, so what I have learned over the years of doing this, and this is me, I know people will probably disagree with this, but I feel like when you're making a sauce and you're doing roux, I believe that it is equal parts fat to flour. So there's like F to F, fat to flour. I saw how much fat it had made, and I'm going to do about like almost identical amount of flour in there. You want it to be like a thick paste, like slow, and like I said, you cannot add more fat once you've done the flour. Now I have about 2 cups of milk set aside. That is probably too much. I like it a little more on the watery side, but it'll thicken up as it goes. What I'm really excited about with this is that there's 8 biscuits over there, and we're not going to eat 8 biscuits tonight. So me and Mia get biscuits for breakfast tomorrow. Okay, doing a little bit more. It may be a little more flour than fat this time. I was really worried there when the sausage was cooking. I did not think I was going to get this much fat. But this is not one of the things that you can just leave the room on, and because it needs, like, you have to be here watching it. If she was to need, like if Mia was about to start like crying or something, I would push it off of the heat and go see what it was that she needed. I would not leave it on the heat because it could burn. You do not want burnt roof. Can you guys see, is the flour thing in the way? But the big thing here is just a little bit at a time. You want to make like a paste. That's too much. I'm just doing a little bit. It's almost there. The thickness of this depends on like the thickness of the gravy too, and the whole amount of milk that you're adding. And I'm not going to dump all 2 cups of that. I'm going to go slow with that also. I told Chris this morning that I need a new wok skillet because this one is, I had to scrub this one for like 20 minutes with a Brillo pad. It's just like, it was really cheap. We got it at like a little bargain department store for like $8. But I love how big it is. Like I would be intimidated, crud, I meant to turn this off. I would be intimidated to you do the gravy in the cast iron because it's smaller. I don't know, I just like more room here. For the sausage gravy, I would do a different sauce in this one that I'm not about to pour meat back into. Okay, I'm still going to add a little bit. This is like doing a little bit differently than what I'm used to. This is Mia's favorite song on Moana. This is Maui singing You're Welcome. Okay, now we will do the milk next. I will also be putting Worcestershire in there thanks to my husband. I never would have thought to add it to as many things as I do if it wasn't for him. He puts it on like everything. And at first, like when we first got married, I was like, oh my gosh, am I not putting flavor into things? Because he was putting it on everything. And then it's just like, I had to get used to it, that's just how he eats his food. But I've learned that it can really make things taste better. I hate that I'm like over 20 minutes on here. Sorry, guys. See the paste that we have now? This will make a lot. I may be doing 2 cups. I hope the sound of this is not like frustrating to anybody watching. Okay. And normally the recipe would say to cut it down to low and let it simmer, and mine is already on low. So I may have to turn it off and just let it be off once it's pretty done. Because my oven is weird, my stove top. Okay. And I'll do the eggs then. I know it's gonna, I don't know. Don't be intimidated by all the clumps, like trust me, the heat will expand them out as long as you keep stirring. It's like the dory, like just keep stirring, and just build it. I've never done this with anything but whole milk either. So I'm also like afraid that I'm sitting here talking and it's not even on live. I'd be really pissed if that happened. but it is what it is. Still adding milk. Once it's like really, I actually could turn the heat up a little bit. Here she is. I left you a snack. Do you want a biscuit? I wonder if they're like hot still. Want a biscuit? No. Hey, don't walk off with that. No. Okay. Here's the no nap kicking in. I'm bad about like moving it over and it not being directly on where the skillet is. Or the skillet on where the eye is. Okay. Okay, I am going to stop stirring for a minute until it starts simmering. And like as it simmers, it'll thicken up and then I can add the rest of the milk and the Worcestershire. I think these are okay to come off. This. And these skillets the cast irons stay hot for a while. See, here's my bubbles. Can you guys tell that it's bubbling? That little piece of biscuit that I broke off for her, I will use to taste this. I was going to say too, this is not something I would put salt in as you're making it, because you know how like you usually want to like salt everything too, but pork is really salty as it is. So maybe like after it's done and you're like serving yourself, like maybe put a little bit on there. I would put like some pepper. Actually, I'm going to put some pepper in it right now, beyond the red pepper flakes. My favorite fast food restaurant that makes like the best sausage gravy, I don't know if like every state has it, but Jack's, oh my goodness, theirs is so good. It's like on the waterier side. That's probably why I'm doing this a little bit waterier. I don't like it super thick. I feel like that it tastes like it's been sitting out when it's like really thick. I know some people like it like that better, but I also kind of wish I was making cheese grits to go with this, but whatever. Okay. Going to stop stirring again. Do the Worcestershire. It'll make it a little bit more tan in color. That's okay. It just kind of adds depth to things because Worcestershire is very like garlicky, which is weird because Chris isn't like a huge like garlic person, but he loves putting Worcestershire on stuff. See, it's thickening up. I don't know how well you all can see it. Ooh, now it's really starting to simmer. But I can get away with a little more milk. I'm going to do a little more milk, let it get back to simmering, and then put the sausage in and see how well it is distributed of like the sausage to gravy ratio. And if I need to add a little more milk, I will do that. So hold tight a few more minutes. Okay, we're bubbling now. You want to pour this in away from yourself. There's a little bit of fat in there, in here. Ooh, and dripping still. So I could have still gotten a little more fat so that you don't splash the hot gravy on yourself. My dog is whining because he knows I'm making this. I guess I'll keep stirring. I won't serve it with this spoon because it's slotted. This is actually a pretty good consistency of, it's not like straight sausage with a little bit of gravy. Like it's pretty evenly balanced. And I am going to turn it down back to the low that it was on and let it chill out. I might keep adding a little bit of milk depending on how thick it gets while I'm making the eggs. But I'm gonna make the eggs, but I'm gonna turn this off however that works. I don't know. I've never done the live. So if anybody stuck it out this long, thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can comment or reach out. But thanks.